Thank you, everybody, for coming to join us today. So we're going to be talking about 7 things that no one tells you about managing your wait list. So for those of you who are on the call who have a wait list today, amazing. And for those of you who don't have a wait list yet, that's okay. Hopefully you'll get there soon. And these tips are useful, whether it's wait list for an entire center or wait list just for an individual classroom. So as we get started, our agenda for today is what really is a wait list and why should you keep one? Even if you're fully staffed, fully enrolled, why is it important to have a wait list? The 7 things that nobody tells you. So again, would love to hear in the chat as we go through this. If you're doing these things today, let us know how they're working. If you've never done it before, would love to hear your thoughts about it. These are all going to be actionable things that you can put into place this afternoon after seeing this webinar. And then how to streamline the process as a whole. So as we get started, we always kind of like to kick things off here with a poll so that we can better understand the audience, where you're at, and use this as a way to talk a little bit more directly to each one of you individually. So as we kick things off, I wanted to understand from everybody who's here today, the waitlist concerns. So what are the biggest concerns that you have when managing your waitlist? Is it that you're not on the same page? You don't have time to communicate with families? You don't know who's next in line? So any type of priority or list? Families not replying when you have an opening? Does it take too long? Or is there something else? So we're going to give you all a little bit of time. I see some of the responses coming in. So we're right around 50% of the attendees today that filled this out. We'll give it a little bit more time.
I was going to say, it's always interesting, just how across the board everyone's answers are. It just seems like all these, pain points are really resonating with everybody. So, and if you did click other, definitely let us know in the chat now that that's enabled, what issues you're facing and maybe how we can address those and give you our tips and best practices.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and share the results really quickly. So look, the big ones that stick out: families don't reply when I have an opening for them, and you don't have time to communicate with the families. These two are really tightly linked, and we're going to go over how they're linked in here. So if you're selecting I don't have time to communicate with families, but you've also seen them not reply, or vice versa, just know you're not alone. This is very common. We're going to address that today, along with the rest of these, right? Making sure that you and your staff are on the same page, the registration paperwork, of course, and then not knowing who's next. So we're going to kick things off, get into it. I see a couple things popping in the chat as well. So we'll make sure to go through that. And again, Q&A at the end to get into more specifics. So what is a wait list and why should we keep one? So having a wait list, whether you have one center or whether you have multiple centers, and even the individual classrooms within your center, because we understand that there are limits to every classroom, it's recommended that you have this wait list once you reach any type of full capacity, as a way to make sure that you always have families who are ready when either a spot opens up or a child ages out. Or if you want to open a new center and you're trying to figure out what type of demand you actually have in your area for that. So we've known and we've seen, right? There are a lot of things that can happen unexpectedly today that could impact your center. There were 30,000 tech layoffs in the last month. Well, those tech workers probably have kids, and maybe now they need to potentially take their kid out of care for a little bit, whether it's permanently, short term. Having a wait list will help insulate you from events that you have absolutely no control over. That's one example. I'm sure we can think about a lot more if we sat down and brainstormed all of that. So it's really important to have a wait list and have a really healthy wait list, because it makes sure that your business is not impacted by things out of your control. It's going to make sure that your centers are always full. And again, a couple reasons, right? So one of the reasons that I mentioned is these big events that happen in families' lives. Maybe it's a layoff, maybe they move, but also maybe it's you have limited availability. Maybe there's some type of delayed registration. And maybe it's just a start date that's so far in the future that you just don't have a spot for them now, but you want to put them on that wait list because they've chosen you. Great example is always an expecting family. Maybe they're 3 to 6 months out from that delivery date, which means that they're still going to be a little bit out of care after that. You want to know when that is. You want to keep a healthy wait list, keep them in. The other thing that's great to do with a wait list, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, is consider a fee, right? A non-refundable waitlist fee. Look, one, this is a great source of revenue for you and your center. Two, it gets your parents to have skin in the game. Thinking about everything that you do individually, what are you more likely to respond to? What are you more likely to engage with? Something that you're fully committed to, or something that you're just, okay, well, I like this. It doesn't have to be a big dollar amount. It can be small, but just the act of collecting that fee will get parents more engaged. So a lot of reasons for a wait list. It's really healthy for your business. And there are some great things that you can do to make sure that parents stay engaged with you once they get on that list. So as we kick things off, we want to make sure that we're collecting relevant data. So by the time you get to a wait list, generally, and hopefully this sounds familiar, you've gathered that parent's information, whether it be that they called in to schedule a tour, they walked in your center, whether they reached out, whether you're using a CRM or an Excel sheet, but somehow you've gathered the general information about them, right? Their name, their child's name, their start date, birth date. You started to get them into the right classroom. You've scheduled a tour with the family and you've showed them your center. They're bought in, they're engaged. Well, now it's time to get them enrolled and you realize you don't have space. So you have to put them on the wait list. Well, one of the things that we're going to talk about later is how to communicate. You guys all said that that was one of the biggest issues. The majority of you said that was, and then parents not responding. Well, gathering this information up front is going to set the foundation for you to send meaningful communication to parents, for you to have a meaningful way to understand, well, what does this family need and where are my openings going to be? And also for you to understand, like, what is their schedule, right? Is it someone maybe only needs mornings and you've got a morning that opens up and you can get that family into care sooner? Or is it someone who needs full days? So this information, all of this information can be gathered leading up and through that touring process that you guys have. So getting that early and often will set you up for success down the line. And again, this is all information that is non-invasive. Families are happily giving this information away. It's easy to capture and it's going to make them feel better and make you feel better when you're making a connection in that wait list and with your communication afterwards. The other thing is being transparent with families. So we talked a little bit early on about a non-refundable waitlist fee. Maybe you're offering this today, maybe you're not, but being really upfront with families about what this is, what their cost. Is it a one-time fee? Is it a monthly recurring fee that you guys charge? Do you have different enrollment periods? So is it rolling enrollment, where as a spot opens up, you'll let a child in? Or are there specific enrollment periods that families should be aware of? Being upfront and being transparent in those two things right away, you're now allowing families to plan out their lives. You're making it easier for families to say, okay, I know what to expect and I know when I can put my child in care. So I know when I can go back to work or get these projects done, or when I'll have some breathing room, maybe just to take a nap. So a lot of different things there in just those two. The waitlist order, also very important. If someone's first on the list, are they last on the list? And when we talk about waitlist order, one of the other things to consider is their priority status and preference. So most people that we speak to teachers and the teacher's children or the director's children, they're going to have preference to come into that center and fill an open spot. Same things with siblings of a family. And maybe, we've even worked with some people who offer a waitlist fee to help give priority. So if you pay a waitlist fee, you're in a spot. If you don't, you're a little bit further down. So there's some options that you can do here. But when we talk about the waitlist order, being very transparent in the priority status, as well as the preference families get, will go a long way. Communication. So because we've gathered really good data and information, we can understand what's the best way to communicate with a family and who should we be communicating with. So is it the mother, is the father, grandmother? Do they like phone? Do they like email? Do they like text? How are we communicating? We'll go into some more specifics on the types of communication and what you can put in those communications as well. And then also, what enrollment offers are we having? Again, so we talked about siblings as a possible priority order, but is there a discount offered for siblings? Are there times of year? Is there maybe a discount for a summer camp because they're enrolled in care there? So you've got options for how you can communicate for the programs you have, but it all comes down to being really transparent with parents. Laying this information out early will help you get parents on a wait list who are really engaged. So for all of you who are saying, oh, well, parents didn't respond to us, being transparent up front will help bridge that gap. It will also help for those of you who mentioned that you and your staff might not be on the same page. Well, understanding your offering and being really straightforward with parents, now you and your staff can know, hey, this is what we're offering. This is how we operate. This is how we do things on a wait list. And here's how we want to engage with families. All of that will help drive alignment around the wait list and getting parents on there and feeling confident when they are there. So touch base with families often. So when we say check in once a month with your waitlist families via phone to make sure they're still interested, that's a great benchmark. You might want to stay in touch even more than that. So one of the things that we always say and that we like to advise is to assume the enrollment. When you have a family on the waitlist, assume that they've said yes to you and that they're going to be showing up. So treat them like they're already a family at their center or at your center. If you have charged a waitlist fee, if they have paid, treat them like they're part of the family already. So this could be if you guys are doing picnics, invite them. Get them to start engaging, because what that's going to do is it's going to show them what it's like when their child's actually there. It's going to make them want it more. And if there's another center that maybe has an open seat, well, they might consider waiting because they've now started to build a relationship with you, a meaningful one, a physical one. If you do fairs, the same thing, right? Invite these families, make it special. So you can call them once a month. You can also send nurture emails at intervals to keep them excited about enrolling. So is there a big developmental milestone that you want to celebrate? Is there a new renovation going on at your center, like a new playground or a new program you're offering? Did you just hire a new teacher and you're really excited about him or her coming on board? Like, share these things with the family, let them know what's happening. And really, because parents, especially parents of children, especially those on a wait list, communication is really important to them. So being a frequent communicator and being a good communicator, that's telling them when my child's here, I'm going to get communicated to well. I'm going to get that frequently. And if I have any questions, I'll get an answer. So it's taking away some of that fear of the unknown. So we don't want to wait more than 10 to 14 days between these communications. So being able to set them up on a consistent cadence with valuable information will help to engage the families. Again, it's bringing them into the fold before they're even really there. And that can be really special. So we talked about communications and we talked about the cadences. So millennial parents, they make up 80% of all parents to children 12 or under. And for those of you who either are millennials, who have dealt with millennials, maybe are parents of millennials, you know they love to text. But also email is really powerful for those big newsletters, for those big releases that you're doing to your center. And I still believe nothing can really replace a phone call. But if I'm on a wait list, I don't want to get called every day. So mixing in these three really powerful, relevant communication methods can make sure that you're getting in front of parents in a meaningful way that they'll want to engage back with. It can be as simple as asking the question, hey, Sierra, do you still want to stay on the wait list? We're really excited to have John coming. And she can respond yes or no. So now your wait list hygiene is up to date by doing this. So now you know your wait list is actually accurate. And by asking these questions early and often, by engaging with families early and often, you're going to cut down on those families not responding. Because we all do it, right? We've made a decision, maybe to go somewhere else. Maybe we're busy and bogged down. Maybe we haven't heard from you in 3 months, so we forgot who you are. Well, those messages get deleted or opened and forgot. And that's contributing to a lot of the reasons why so many of you have mentioned, well, my parents just aren't getting back to me when I do communicate with them. They may have chosen to go somewhere else. They may just be bogged down. They might just not remember you. So look, we've got a 4-week cadence example here. If you've got families longer than 4 weeks, do this cadence over and over, right? You can replicate it. You can use this for multiple months, and you can do it during business days. We left it Monday through Friday, but Saturday and Sunday work well too. I personally love a little Sunday night text. It's a great time for me as I'm getting ready for the week to communicate with all the things that I need. And I'm way less cluttered. I'm way less crazy with the busyness of the week. So a little Sunday night text can go a really long way. So for your parents, they appreciate the communication. You're not bothering them, but also you want to make sure that you're sharing content that matters. And so there's a lot of options here. We've laid out a handful, right? So we put into a couple buckets, and I would love to hear in the chat if anybody is doing things outside of these buckets that's creative. We want to celebrate that, right? So testimonials are always good. Children's gift guides, parenting resources, and video connection. So all of these are some buckets that you can think about. Testimonials, things from your teachers, how much they love having the children there, how much they love working at the center, what it means for them to be an early childhood educator, and how powerful and how good they feel about developing young children during these key milestones. Hearing that from a teacher, really impactful to a parent. But the same thing, hearing it from, child feedback might be a little bit tough from time to time, depending on the age group, right? But from the parents, it's hard to replicate that type of feedback. And if I'm a parent and I'm hearing from other parents who are like me and from other teachers who my child would be with, that's going to, again, sort of build this real affinity, this real awareness for me that says, this center knows me. They're really on top of their stuff. And I feel so good about going there. Because just because I said yes and I hopped on the wait list doesn't mean that things can't change. And the longer that family's on the wait list, the more important it is to engage them in these really meaningful ways. Now, because we've gathered child's information, right? Remember the first thing, right? Get all the relevant information. Well, one of those things can be a birthday. So the best thing too is when we talk about not just sharing information, but making it contextual and making it relevant. So if you want to send a birthday gift guide, sending something out 2 weeks, 1 week before a child's actual birthday, now not only are you saying, oh, here's a great way to help you out, but you're saying, oh my gosh, like this company, this center, this childcare, they know when my kid's birthday is. Again, it's showing me as a parent that you know me. I feel a great sense of connection there when that happens. The other thing is you can talk about the why, right? Why are you running these programs? Why do your centers look this way? Why are your classrooms built out? Why are you doing a certain curricula that you have in place? Help me understand why it's there and that you've been really thoughtful about this and how it's working. All of these things, relatively serious. The one in the top right, students joke of the day, I love, right? Because children are funny. They do crazy things that we can't really explain. And I think everybody enjoys a good laugh from time to time, if for nothing else, just to make them feel good that, hey, my kid's not the only one who does these crazy things all the time. So you want to make sure this information is relevant. Sending it out in those cadences mean you're not being overbearing. And then also, once you can get a parent, if you do have them pay for that wait list and you want to actually invite them to those events, all of this stuff compiles together. It's not one or the other. It's all of it as a whole group functioning really well to make parents feel like they're already enrolled, even though they're only on a wait list. So how do we do all this, right? How do you make sure that you can get all of this sent out, all of this delivered without going crazy, doing an individual email, an individual text? Well, use templates that work, right? So you can create emails, you can create text messages that are drafted in copies, and you can make sure that you have them branded to your specific center and your organization. You can make sure that you have specific graphic elements like your signature, your Facebook profile link, any other type of, I don't know if anybody here does TikTok, right? Have TikTok on there. So all of these different things you can do to make it feel really personalized, but also so that you can send these out as you're managing a 10-person wait list, a 20-person wait list, 30, 40, wait lists over multiple centers. All of this will out and name them, right? So maybe we talked about a couple earlier. You might want to have a template that is a wait list offering a promotion to families who already have a child in there. Name it that so you can easily find it when you want to reach out. This will allow you to do these things when your wait lists grow and get really healthy without taking up so much time that it becomes unmanageable. And I kind of alluded to it before, but personalizing this communication, we've talked about a lot so far about how important it is to make it personal, right? Share what your center is doing. Have parents come along, send these different guides out, key into birthdays, right? All of these things are really personal. They're relevant at the right time for families, and it provides context to them with where their child's going to be. So you want to make sure that there's this personal touch as well, right? So the parent's name should be in there. The child's name should be in there. Your location, your center director should be in there. The relevant forms that they might need to fill out. All of those things should be in there. And we've moved past in today's digital age. We've moved past these as a nice to have. These are a need to have for you. Because again, as parents, if I'm going to come and say yes, if I'm going to put my child there, this is the most important thing to me. So I need to feel like you know me, like you know my needs, you know my child, you know my child's needs, and that's not going to be easily forgotten. So the personalized, again, these are things that you can do at scale if you use systems that have some automation around the personalization in there. It doesn't have to be all, oh my God, I'm going to have to manually do this every single time. Although you might, if everything you're doing right now is manual. But if you want to have a comprehensive wait list and include some of these things in here, there is automation that can help, that will still make it personalized, that will accomplish all the things we've talked about so far and make it so that you are not losing sleep to get it done. And we want to establish deadlines. So when I think about deadlines, I go back to the earlier point about being transparent with families, right? You want to give families a really good timeline on when those enrollment periods are. If they're paying fees, when are those fees? If they need to get paperwork in, when's the paperwork due? Personally, in a lot of the conversations that I've had recently, I've always asked, what's the harm in getting the paperwork done right away? Or at least a portion of it. So maybe a family doesn't want to send in their immunization records before they get enrolled, but maybe they can get all the other paperwork in. Why not? This way, if a spot opens up, you can get that family to come earlier. So let's take a scenario where maybe a family decides that they're not going to continue their care with you on a Friday. Well, if a family's paperwork is in and ready to go, you could reach out to them and they could enroll their child on Monday. You will miss 0 weekdays having that seat filled. And that's a big deal. So getting this paperwork done early, it does have some benefits. We talked about skin in the game when parents are filling that paperwork out, when they're paying those non-refundable fees. That's them committing. You're making them do something for you that shows their commitment. Again, people are more inclined to not want to go somewhere else once they've already spent time at a place. And that paperwork is spending time, that money's spending time. All of that communication that you're going to send out, that's spending time with you. When they're sitting and reading those emails and those text messages, if they go to an event, that's spending time with you. And make this easy and convenient to do. So we talked about parents liking text messages today. They're doing research online. If you have a digital option for forms and payments, this is how you can make things easy for families. So making sure that you're meeting your parents where they're at, you're getting them involved, and you're really clear on the expectations. This will take all the guesswork out. And the more detailed you are, the more it looks like you've got everything under control and you know exactly what needs to be done, especially for new parents who don't know anything at all. That's going to be a huge value add for them and a big peace of mind that they don't have. So this is a lot. There are ways to streamline your waitlist management process so that all the things we talked about today can be done with a click of a button or maybe none at all. So some of the things that you can do to help is, and especially with ChildcareCRM ourselves, is automatically capture and organize new leads. So whether that's through a parent scheduled tour form on the website, whether it's a contact us form on the website, gather that information you need early and make sure that there are different workflows assigned to the statuses and the areas that a parent are in their decision-making process, in their buying journey, so that you can use technology to do the work for you. It doesn't mean you don't have to fill in certain things. There's always going to be involvement that allows you to give your personal touch, your personal flair, and something unique that makes you stand out. But allow technology to do 90% of the work, the tedious work that you don't have time to. It will help you follow up faster with every family in their preferred method, and not only outgoing messages, but capturing incoming responses as well and notifying you of them. Keep all your communication on brand. We know this is something that is top of mind for everybody. They want to make sure that it's their brand, they're engaged with the community, and their message and their mission is coming across really clear. It also makes you look professional. And for everybody here in childcare, you are professionals. Your early childhood educators. Looking the part matters. And sending out those automated reminders when it's time for a family to register, when it's time to fill out the paperwork, when there's a spot opening up and it's time for them to come day one. So we've given you a lot of information. Just wanted to let everybody know, and a little reminder for those of you who don't know who ChildcareCRM is. We've been in business for 13 years now, and the information that we got today is not only based on our 13 years in business, but based on the 5,000 customers who are using our platform today to help generate over $29 billion in revenue and close to 1 million enrollment conversions for their centers. So we hope you enjoyed this today, a little about us.